Hello everybody, Assistant Professor Scott Straub with a couple quick tips about late work. If you're new to college, I will tell you that you may be in for a harsh reality if you're used to turning in late work and having it accepted. Many college level instructors, professors won't accept late work, or they'll take a heavy deduction for it. I know my policy is I won't accept any work late unless students have an extraordinary reason that they can document why they were late. So just one quick little story about late work, and I'm not preaching to you because I was late to a geology final and the instructor had a policy: if you're not there when class starts, he's going to lock the door. And I didn't really believe him. And I showed up literally about 2 or 3 minutes late and the door was locked, and I knocked on the door and he did not open it, and I wasn't able to take my final. And I went from an A to a C in about 40 minutes. Worked hard all semester and I lost 20% of my grade right then. That was a harsh lesson to learn, but I never forgot it. And it was then that I started really committing to get to things early. What I found out was the good students, you know what they did? They showed up to campus an hour early. They took the day off from work and showed up an hour early, and I just rolled in casually like I usually did. So anyway, that's just one quick story here. I know people say this all the time, and I've been late with some things in my life as well, but get started early. And if you have a challenge, if you have a problem, you can usually solve it if you get started early. It's the students who send me stuff at 11:15 p.m. when there's a midnight deadline. I'm not usually up. Well, actually I am, but most instructors aren't going to be up to help their students. So you need to talk to them well in advance. Probably the main thing is, if you know you have a significant challenge in your life, is to talk to your instructor, your professor, well in advance of any deadlines. I can't tell you how crucial this is. I can't guarantee that they will accept whatever accommodation you're asking for, but at least there's a possibility of it if you talk to them in advance. I will tell you that many instructors that I work with, they said if a student comes to them after a deadline, there's zero chance they're going to help them. So talk to your instructors well in advance. Now, are there extreme circumstances where you're in a coma or you're in the hospital and all your legs and fingers are broken and you can't type? Yes. Well, if you can document it, maybe that'll work. But short of that, a lot of times instructors won't take your excuses. And I know that sounds harsh. I'm not meaning it to be harsh, but it's just the reality. And then lastly, the very last point, is I was talking to a professor here on my campus and another instructor, and he said to me one thing that annoys him is when students email him asking for an extension. And he says, absolutely no way. But he says, even though my policies are very strict, he says if they would have just sent it in with the request, they attach it, let's say it's a Word document, I don't know what it is. He said a lot of times he'll accept it. He'll mark it down a bit, but he'll accept it, even though his policy is very strict. But he says if they're asking for an extension, but they haven't done anything yet, he says, and he's not going to help them at all. So I hope these little tips help you in college. College can be really harsh and seem unfair at times, but you have to understand the rules. And I really do want you to succeed. Best of luck, everybody.